how do you know that the data visualization in front of you is excellent? How do you make sure that the data visualization that you add to your presentation will add to your personal brand rather than take away? I would say number one, you need to have a compelling story so that if there's something interesting in your data, that you find it. Number two, you should have a rich data set so that you could create a multivariate data visualization. And finally, you should have a clear message, be in explanatory analysis, so that your data visuals clearly support your main message and your story. Edward Tufte said that this might as well be one of the best statistical graphics ever drawn. So let's take a close look. It's a visual created by Charles Joseph Minard in 1869, and it depicts Napoleon invasion of Russia in 1812. We're observing here the movement of French troops both in space and in time. So let's talk about what makes this visual exceptional. Edward Tufte is considered to be one of the founding fathers of this discipline by many. He wrote a beautiful book, The Visual Display of Quantitative Information. And chapter 1 of this book talks about graphical excellence. So we're just going to take a look at one of the visuals in this chapter. Edward Tufte is considered to be the founding father of this discipline by many. He wrote a beautiful book called The Visual Display of Quantitative Information. And chapter 1 of this book talks about graphical excellence. So we're just going to talk about one visual from this chapter. Your visual should have a big idea. In other words, it's just one sentence that summarizes the main message of your visual. For this particular visual, the main idea is how senseless, terrible, cruel the wars are. 422,000 men entered Russia from the border with Poland. 100,000 men made it to Moscow. At this point, the city went up in flames. There was no reason for French to stay in the city, so they had to retreat, and only 10,000 men made it back to the border with Poland. Many people perished from freezing cold Russian winters, starvation, famous battles took place. People drowned when crossing the Berezina River. This visual is very famous because it's multivariate. So let's go over all 6 variables that we are able to observe on this work of art. Number 1, size of troops is depicted by the width of the band. So again, we started out with 422 100,000 troops on the border with Poland. In Moscow, it was 100,000, and then 10,000 people again at the very end of the campaign. Next, the direction of the army movement is depicted with the help of color. Charles Joseph Minard is using red for the army moving towards Moscow, and black is the color of the retreat. Location of the troops is depicted on the two-dimensional surface, so latitude and the longitude. Two more variables. And finally, the freezing temperatures of Russian winter, a map to the movement of retreating troops on various dates.